Welcome back to the College Baseball Show presented by Just Baseball. I'm Monty Taylor. I am joined by one of my favorite hitters in the country, new LSU outfielder, Bino Watters. Bino, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Before we jump into some of the Cape stuff, I wanted to talk to you about some of the general things here in modern baseball. You were entering the transfer portal, a top commodity, and you kind of went in there with an open kind of open mind to see who would kind of go out there. What was that kind of experience like, kind of essentially being open to recruiting for a second time, essentially, with after high school?
Yeah, it was a little bit different because in high school I wasn't super big prospect. I went to futures games, played pretty well there, but ended up going to Notre Dame, which was a blessing, and I loved my time there. But I felt like it was time to move on, and I was, put in a pretty good position with my agents. They did a very good job of navigating what I wanted in the portal, and then keeping my focus in the portal, like what I wanted, rather than the external factors of the fans and all that stuff. So. I did a good job of focusing on what I wanted, and then went on 3 visits, and then LSU felt like the best fit for me and my family, and we're pretty excited about that decision.
Yeah, it's really interesting because once you narrow it down to 3, I feel like they're pretty close. So, in terms of trying to differentiate which one's the best option, because I'm sure at a certain point, all 3 of them are good options. But one of them stood out to you, and it was obviously LSU. What made LSU the right fit for you?
All those schools are great schools, LSU, Texas, and Texas A&M. But I felt like LSU, I had a really good connection. When I first stepped on campus, I got that feeling of home. I had a really good visit. I loved the coaches, and then Kate Aaron Beatty showed me around, so that was pretty cool. I had a pretty good connection with Kate. I played against him in summer ball and stuff, so it was good to see him again. But just the national championships, I say, speak for themselves. I feel like LSU has a pretty good track record of winning national championships, and my number one goal is going in the portal and winning, and LSU has done that. So
yeah, absolutely. It's really going to be a lot of fun to watch you there, because it's going to be, I think, is it going to be a little bit of a culture shock kind of going down there, because obviously you're a Michigan kid, you played at Notre Dame, you guys had to spend a lot of time on the road early in the season, but now you're going to get basically summer weather year round. It's going to get really humid at times. You're going to play in front of 10,000 fans plus every weekend. How excited are you for that experience as well?
yeah, I think that's also another reason I felt like I wanted to plan a little bit of a bigger stage and prepare myself for the next level. So I'm super excited. It's probably an understatement. I love playing in front of big fans. I always thought like the ACC tournament and in the games where we get a big turnout, like the FSU weekend when we played them, was a pretty big turnout. Like I always felt like I was able to elevate to that environment, and that's something I'm definitely looking forward to.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when I got to cover you guys in Jacksonville for Notre Dame, is when I heard LSU was going to be there. I was extremely excited because they have one of the best traveling fan
Yep.
bases, and they did show up really well that weekend. Especially considering you weren't going to have a ton of traveling from Indiana with IU and Notre Dame and UCF. I was surprised they didn't get quite as many, but LSU really took care of business there. I'm sure
Yep.
that kind of made a lasting impact as well, seeing them travel to Jacksonville the second weekend of the year.
Yeah, those fans are no joke. They talk about it all the time, that they're the best fans, that best traveling base in the country, let alone the best fan base. So, that's something that I look forward to.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your nickname. You are known as Bino, but your name is Brenson.
Yep.
But you and your 3 brothers, you all have nicknames. But let's start with you first. Where did Bino come from, and how is it just made it to be your name?
Yeah, my dad, when I was younger, I'd go by B, and then I'd do something wrong and he'd say no. So it's a pretty simple story, but you look me up on like any socials or anything, it's always Bino. Like you'll never find Brenson. So it's kind of funny that that my nickname is who I am now, and it's not. Nobody really knows me by Brenson. So when someone calls me Brenson, I'm like, oh, am I in trouble or something like that? So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember I was looking up the freshmen coming into Notre Dame a couple years ago, and even whatever I was looking at, it said Brenson and then Bino to make sure,
Yep.
like and you don't normally see that necessarily on the recruiting websites, but it's like, just so you know, he more commonly goes by that. But you have two brothers, Rhino and Rhino's spelled the same way as Bino, but with an R.
Yep.
Even though it's pronounced Rhino, and then Flip, and I believe Rhino's going to be a football scholarship to one of the directional
Central. Yep, Central Michigan.
Yeah, and
Quarterback
and
at
Flip,
Central.
yeah, and Flip is currently a big target for the 2028 class.
Yep.
So, how did they get their nicknames? Is it just kind of funny that all three of you have, kind of these unique nicknames in addition to your real names?
Yeah, Rhino. I think we just wanted something similar to Bino. So, like Rhino Bino, like kind of goes hand in hand. We're both spelled INO. Mine's with a B and his is with the R. So, and then Flip was kind of just, he was a crazy kid when he was younger. He'd always spaz out a little bit, so we call him Flip. But yeah, Rhino's going into freshman year of college at Central. He's super excited about that. He's doing really well. He's already on campus. He's playing quarterback there, and he loves it so far. And then Flip, as you said, is a pretty big target in the upcoming class. This is his recruiting summer, so he's pretty pumped about that. He's had a pretty big showing this summer, and we'll see where his next step goes.
That's got to be exciting for him, especially when he's got two older brothers to kind of help him, with different experiences, obviously with how it went down. It sounds like he's going to have a little bit bigger experience possibly than you did, which surprised me, because you were one of the top prospects in Michigan at the time, if I recall, with your teammates Parker and Chase Vandermeer.
Yep.
So I was surprised that you weren't getting as much love out of the recruiting cycle. But there's something maybe about some of that northern, not getting to play all year, right?
Right. Definitely, yeah. I'd say that plays a big piece. I also wasn't as physical when I was going into my junior year of high school, so
That's hard.
but it all worked out. So
all right, let's talk about the Cape. What's that experience been like? Because if I recall, because of your injury last year, you didn't really get to play summer ball, right?
Yep.
What's it been like playing for the Chatham Anglers and the general experience of the Cape?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. The Cape is super pretty. It's super, touristy spot. I think a lot of people come out here to vacation, but they also get the experience of watching, the best summer baseball in the country. So that part helps. We get a lot of fans at our games, and our playing surface is great. Some of the other fields are rough, but we have great groundskeepers at our place. We have great coaches who keep up with the field, and the baseball, you can't beat it. It's top guys in the country who want to go out and play every single day. It's reps, it's experience, it's host families, it's all the above. So it's been a great time so far.
And what was nice for you is you were able to take care of all your visits and everything before you got up there, so you've just been able to focus only on baseball, right?
Yeah, that was something I wanted to do before I got out here. I was a couple days late, but going to and from the Cape would have been a mess, because we fly out of Boston here, and Boston's a 2-hour drive from Chatham. So I want to make sure I got all that done, and was able to just come here and focus on playing my best baseball.
Yeah, that's really surprised me, because I know a lot of guys will do their visits while they're up there, and it just seems like logistically kind of a nightmare and kind of exhausting. And so it sounds like it's good that you were able to get that. And the Cape's not easy to do, much less have some of those distractions while you're trying to get that done. And you guys have the lights. You guys get to play a lot of night games at Chatham. I'm lucky enough that one of the other interviews I'm going to do is with your guys' ace, Angel Cervantes.
Oh, nice.
Like kind of watching him pitch, because he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, Angel's actually my roommate, so I've got to know Angel on a pretty personal level, which has been cool. He always carries around Jerry the dinosaur, so that part's been funny. You get to learn about that story. I'm sure you'll ask about that and hear about that, which will be pretty cool to learn about. But Angel's a great guy. I've learned a whole bunch about him, his experience at UCLA. Obviously, they had a really good team. They had however many draft picks, a ton of draft picks over there at UCLA. So hearing what they kind of do, how they go about their business over there, has been something I've enjoyed learning about. And then also, just hanging out with them every single day has been fun. Like getting to know new guys here is something I was looking forward to, and our team's great. I've been able to, meet guys from all over the country, so it's been fun.
Love that. It's pretty funny that the two of the four guys I'm going to end up interviewing are roommates. Didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. talking about some of the ups and downs of the Cape. Obviously, you're red hot recently. I believe I tweeted out the other day you're like 11 of 19 since the All-Star game. But you've also had some setbacks. In terms of the performance, it's really hard.
Yep.
And I know you've made it kind of look easy here over the last couple of weeks, but what is it about the Cape that makes it so tough?
I think just playing every day. I think like playing every day is tough on your body. It's something we don't do in season. You play 4 games a week in season, but here you're playing 6 and sometimes even 7 on days that get rained out. Like you got to make up games and things like that. So I think just letting days build on each other and not letting the bad ones stack. So understanding tomorrow's a new day, and I'm able to flush the previous day has been something I've been working on here because it's a long season. It's 40 games plus playoffs. So I've really been focusing on just taking every single day step by step and trying to win every at bat, one at a time, and not, looking at the, hopefully I go 2 for 5 today, or you know what I'm saying? So just, every at bat, every pitch, and just looking at it from that lens.
It feels like it's a lot of it's a mental game because, for you, you're a slugger. I'm sure you really want to hit doubles and home runs, and you've only got 5 on the summer.
Yep.
But you've still figured out a way to contribute and drive in runs. I believe last I checked, you were leading the league with RBIs or
Yep.
do it, and yet you're still finding ways to get that OPS up despite not having as many extra base hits as I'm sure you would prefer. And how much of that is making sure you're not putting too much pressure to get those doubles and home runs? Because I'm sure if you did, you wouldn't be able to have the success elsewhere.
Yeah. I think, just focusing on line drive approach. Like obviously here it's wood bat. It's something new for a lot of players. I didn't play last summer, so it's a little bit different for me. But I think just, focusing on what I do well is, find gaps, hit the ball hard, and control what I can control, whether that's hitting the ball in the air, hitting the ball on the ground. I'm, trying to do what's best for the team. So just keeping my approach simple, and then trying to work on other assets of the game, like, stealing bases and stuff like that. I've stolen a lot more bags this summer than I have in the past. So that's something I came down here with a goal to, get 15. I think I'm at 12. So hopefully we can get to that number by the end of this week, but we'll see. So whether that's, trying to work on different sides of the ball, different aspects of the game has been something I've, came down here with that plan to do. And I feel like I've accomplished that, but extra base hits will come, and something I'm still working on, but I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket and try to just hit extra base hits. So.
Absolutely. It's been really fun to watch you hit this summer. Cause again, I've watched you for a couple of years and seen you kind of develop, and you're right. Yeah. The stolen bases, 12 stolen bases so far this summer. That's a nice aspect of your game. You've obviously been getting a lot of work in the outfield.
Yep.
You're mostly DHing as a freshman.
Yeah.
And you got to play a lot of outfield last year, but getting to play outfield every day, you're getting really comfortable out there. That's got to feel good.
Yeah. I'd say, reps are something I talk about a lot on interviews and stuff. And I think that, getting out there every single day is important to me, and just showcasing that I can that I can be in the lineup every day and have the abilities to go play left whenever the team needs me to is something I take pride in. So I feel a lot more comfortable out there. My arm feels great. I mean, I'm moving a lot better, moving better than I ever have, honestly. So it's been a whole lot of fun.
Love that. Let's talk. There's a lot of Cape turnover, which, it's a testament to you that you're staying out there this whole season. A lot of people talk about that exodus after the All-Star game. And I try to tell people there's still a lot of good baseball players out there. You're an example of that. Angel's an example of that. But the turnover also allows you to get closer to a lot of different players. What's that kind of been like with kind of a revolving door of teammates?
Yeah. I mean, we carry the same amount of guys every single day. So, we try to keep our roster consistent, but you have guys that sign for half the summer, guys that sign for 2 weeks. I've gotten to know a lot of cool guys this summer. I think some highlights are a junior from Oregon, transferred to Georgia. He became one of my best friends in 2 weeks. I still talk to him, and he's out in Utah getting married, so excited for him about that. But I've gotten to meet a bunch of cool guys. Jack Bell just got here from TCU. Cam Pruitt from Missouri just got here. So those guys are guys that I just met, but I'm close as I ever been with those guys, and that's been fun. But I think staying all summer has been something, I didn't know what I was going to do this summer. I didn't really know my plan. I didn't know if I was going to go to school early or not, but, I've had a ton of fun, and, baseball is what I want to do. So showing that I want to play every day and, stay all summer has been something I've been focused on. And, you know, that was my goal.
Absolutely. We know you're somebody who is an ultimate competitor, loves the game of baseball. I understand that during the ACC tournament a couple of years ago, when you guys were on the bubble, when you were freshmen, they basically had to, hide your cleats from you to make sure you
Yeah.
didn't play, because, sometimes it's the coach's job to protect you from yourself. And,
Right.
I know you really wanted to play in that and contribute, and was unable to, but that just kind of shows kind of what a competitor you are. I love that. Talking about how's the Cape kind of preparing you for the SEC and LSU?
Yeah, I mean, I think we see, really good arms every single night. From beginning of the Cape to the end of the Cape, like we've seen guys from, all over, whether that's, SEC arms or it's, mid-major arms, but everybody's here for a reason. Everybody can, throw 3 or 4 pitches with, 92, 93 mile an hour fastballs. And some guys have even gotten up to 5s and 7s. So it's been cool to see a wide range of guys. And I think that seeing that wide range of players is only going to help me. I think getting the reps, like I talked about earlier, is something that will help me as well. I feel like training can only get you so far in baseball. I think you have to play. So the Cape has been super beneficial from that aspect.
Love that. Obviously, you've played a lot of baseball. You talked about how many games you play every day, but obviously, you've gotten a little bit of time to do some stuff, off the field, and experience some of, being just a normal, because you're kind of a tourist, even though you're there for work.
Yep.
Right? What have you been able to go to the beach and enjoy that experience? You done any fishing?
Yeah, we go to the beach on our off days pretty frequently. We try to step away from the baseball field. Our coach really encourages us to, take your mind off baseball, because it's a lot of baseball. So we go to the beach. We, go paddleboarding, go, kayaking, do all sorts of things around Chatham. There's a whole bunch to do, I'm sure, as you know. So there's some pretty good restaurants we go out to as a team. Everybody loves the anglers around here. So we're treated pretty well around Chatham. I'm trying to think what else. We also go get ice cream pretty frequently. We got a place, short and sweet, that gives anglers free ice cream. So we go there pretty often, and that's that place is pretty fun.
Love that. You a big seafood guy at all?
Yeah, I'm starting to become one, because in Louisiana you gotta love seafood. But Chatham's been a good introductory piece for that. I've eaten some lobster and crab cakes and things of that sort. So that's been a little eye-opening, but I like it.
Have you had crawfish before?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big thing. I love crawfish. They're little, but yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm sure you'll get exposed to that down there
for sure. Yeah,
among a lot of things. Talking about, you got to presumably also get to do some BP at Fenway, right?
Yep.
What was that experience like, getting to do some of that, and did you hit any over the Green Monster?
That was pretty fun. I hit a couple off the Green Monster. I didn't quite have the thumb to get it over the Green Monster, but that was a ton of fun. We took an off day. We took a trip out there, and we spent 2 hours out there. We did IO, we did some stretching, and then we did some BP. So that was a ton of fun. Just getting out there, kind of seeing what it's like. We saw a couple of the players on the field working out, so kind of seeing their routine was pretty interesting as well. And just an overall eye-opening experience.
Yeah, it was crazy to me. I think it was 2023. Within a week, Notre Dame got to play at Wrigley and at Fenway. And I was like, man, they need to. That was a lucky week for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I do remember that. Luck of the Irish.
Yeah, there you go. Let's kind of wrap this up. Talk to me about what's been your highlight of the summer, and that can be off the field or on the field.
Highlight of the summer, I would probably say our home games. I love playing at home. I think our field, like I talked about earlier, is a beautiful playing surface. Our fans are great. We also get fed after all of our games, so I love playing at home, because you play the game, and then after you get to sign autographs for all the kids, and kind of seeing their faces light up after games is definitely heartwarming. And then you get get some food, and then just hang out with your teammates. So I'd say home games are the highlight, and that's my favorite part of the week.
Love that. It sounds like you've been having a blast up there. It's been really fun watching you, getting to cover you over the last 2 years in the ACC. I'm going to be watching you in Baton Rouge as well because I know you're going to tear it up down there. I'm excited for it. But that's going to kind of wrap it up. Unless you want to, is there anything else you want to share or?
I think that's good. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, Bino. It's going to be a pleasure, and can't wait to see you succeed in Baton Rouge. But we'll be back with another interview in a couple of days. But until then, I guess I can't believe I'm going to say this, but go Tigers.
Go Tigers. That's right.